You know, a classic muscle car is all about raw power. What good is all that power if your chassis can't handle it? And as you saw, our sloppy second gen Camaro is getting pretty serious. Thought someone was here. It's gonna look pretty good. Yeah. Yep. On the side too. Oh, that's pretty good right there. I gotta sand that area a little bit so I can get a tack in there, but let's see. How's that look? Oh, perfect. I'll tack those into place. Okay, I get this question, and I've seen the same thing online. People asking, oh, I fully welded in or not. Oh, I'm just gonna tack this into place. But when we come back to weld, what we're gonna do is like a 1-inch weld, and then 1-inch gap, 1-inch weld, 1-inch gap. Reason I do that, and what I've seen on suspension parts also, this tubing is much thicker gauge than this metal. So what happens is we get great adhesion to this with the weld and into this, but this takes all the stress so it cracks around the weld. So if you stitch it, it kind of distributes the weight a little differently. I'm not a meteorologist, I don't make this up. I don't have the secret formulas for that or anything else. I'm just telling you. If you weld it solid, it will crack. I've seen suspension done the same way. Guys weld their 4 links in the back, and the frame rail cracks. You know, you're welding an 1/8 piece of steel in, sometimes more, and you got a little 16 gauge piece of sheet metal, basically bent to be a frame from the factory. That little 16 gauge can't handle all that stress. So you welded a little seam, so there's a little flex in there. Flex defeats the purpose, but it's what works. Anyways, Well, we start off by building door bars. And it's not as easy as just laying in a piece of steel and hoping it doesn't bend. I mean, you can see we've already done our first one here, and now it's a matter of measuring for an upper bar. We don't want too high, though, that we're having to do gymnastics to get it out of the car. And you don't want it too low, or leaving just this bottom bar, because then you do get a little bit of flex. So what we'll end up doing is moving the bar probably about 7 to 8 inches high. So it's about thigh high while you're sitting in the chair. It'll have supports going across here to keep it rigid, more like a ladder. And that'll join the front and the back together along with this part. And then of course we'll put some to the chassis. But it starts with measuring. And not only do we have to measure once, we measure twice. And often I'll measure 3 or 4 times, and then I'll overcut, make it a little bit longer, and then come back and test it. Well, I'm getting ready to use the tubing notcher. I'm gonna tell you, tubing notcher feels a little bit like cheating. You just clamp your tube in into your tubing notcher. Okay, then you set your angle right here. Then you add your drill or your notcher to get your angle right. It takes a little bit to get the notch correct, but once you do, you have a really tight fit on the joint. Once you've notched it, you get the perfect fish mouth. And what you're looking for is a really tight fit on the bar. Can you see that? So the tighter that fit, the stronger it is, because even without a weld, it's still pretty strong. Not super strong, but it's stable. So then you can put a decent weld around there and you get good strength. Now that you've got the perfect fish mouth on there because you used the notcher, and you put it in your place where you want it, you know, that thing's such a tight fit, it's just begging for a decent weld. Doesn't even have to be fantastic. Just a good smooth weld around there with good penetration will work perfect. So anyways, we got that bracket going for us. We got our second one that we did. Gonna go about right there. And then what I've done is this upper bar, we measured it 3 times to make sure we're right. And we put it on the notcher just to smooth out the edges a little bit. And we're gonna put it in just to see what we're looking at. So, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Oh, good. Well, I didn't have to take it back out this time and kind of just, you know, get a little bit more of the notch out of it. So the upper bar we're putting in is a little bit smaller diameter than the other two. These are 1 3/4, this is 1.5 inches. So what we're gonna end up doing is on these parts here, I'm gonna end up taking this out to my press. I got a ball joint press, and we'll squeeze these tops in a little bit just so it has a nice tight fit, front and back, because you know we don't want it to be loose, but I'm looking for a smaller bar so it's easier to get in and out of the car. Like I said, I don't want to be a gymnast and have to do all the jumping in and out of the car. I mean, 60 years old, man. I ain't flying out of the car like the old Dukes of Hazzards. Cool. I was gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to a harness bar to go in the cage here, but I'm not gonna put it in right now because I need to be able to seat brackets and seats. Because your harness bar, you want it at the correct height for the seat belts as they come through the upper seat belt holes. You don't want it too high because it's pulling up. You don't want it too low because it's pulling down on the shoulders. So I need to get the driver's seat bracket built and a seat put in. That way I know exactly my drive height is going to be. Then I can put my harness bar in the correct location. If they're not doing it with the seat in, I'm afraid that's probably not right. I'm not the expert on this, just how I've done it. Yeah. All right, I put the dash back in. Now we got the seat changed. This will be what we're running the car. We'll be running a Kirky seat, so now I know where my rear bar is going to go. And I put the dash back in, and I will put the dash bar across and get an idea where it's going to go in real time, because it's going to be holding up it's going to have the steering column bracket on it also. So just wanted to get it in there and kind of see where it goes. This one here. Come on. There we go. So it's in there pretty tight, so it's holding itself up. I'll put a magnet on the other side 1 second. Oh yeah, I can see it slope down on this side by a mile. That's pretty close to where I want it. So I can build a bracket right there to hold the steering column. So let's see. We'll break out our little level again and see how far off we are. Oh, we're off by a ton. This bar has to come down a lot on this side. Oh. Oops. Well, that sucked when it fell down there. It really sucked because it broke. Yeah. If you look underneath there, it's two pieces. The level itself and then the bracket for the level. So, on that note, I only had one level. I have to go get another one. I mean, I got 2 angle gauges, 3 grinders, 1 bubble level. All right. Yeah, I should be going more, but I'm stopping right here. I'm gonna call it a quits. What I did is I made a cardboard template that fits right inside here. And then I cut another piece of steel. As you see, I've got it held up with just a magnet, and then I'm going to tack this into place. And I took the same piece of template, moved to the other side, and did one for that side. And there's side number 2. So we step back and look at it. Okay, we got a post here. We got our supports there. And that's the seat we're going to go with. So that's it. I'm gonna stop the video right here. That's it for this 8 hours roughly. There was a lot of stuff I cut out because it was just a lot of just cutting little pieces of metal, tack welding it into place, putting some zip on it, and that was it. And try and make it more interesting next time around. So I'm gonna head in there where the other guys are at, and see you guys next week. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you.